Guys, he made the claim of conscious edits and general confirmation, right? This guy's not okay. He starts off his time by just twice now he's made ad hominems towards me. He should pay attention to what I'm saying instead. You're making the bloody claim. You made the positive claim and you want me to prove your claim? No, you have to prove it. I've actually showed you that your inference is ad hoc. It's an internal critique. You just added things and you made up stuff that is not there in the Quran. You have violated every rule of the internal critique. You lost this debate. You were baked the moment I walked in. But now I'm playing with you. I'm toying with you and I'm asking you, look, if it's conscious, I'm proving to you that my inference is actually in the Quran. I'm showing you through the Quran that the author has never, ever said any of the stuff you're saying, but he said the opposite. So if he says the opposite, why doesn't he say what you say? If he's happy, it's not like a mute. If he was a mute author, then I would have accepted, yeah, maybe he just does things quietly. He doesn't say anything. But he's so emphatic about the love affair with our previous scriptures. 142 verses, man. You need to read your Quran, boy. You got the Musaddiq really down really well, but you never read your own Quran. You never paid attention to anything because you were busy trying to make some money off subscribers. That's what it was. You need to go back and read the basics. So I proved it to you. The conscious edit doesn't exist in the Quran, and it should. Your author should say that because he says the opposite. When he feels the opposite, he says that. When he's in love affair with the previous books, he says that. When he's angry with the people who follow the previous scriptures, he says that. So suddenly becoming mute doesn't make any sense. You just made up this whole thing over there anyways. Guys, he sat down and said the Quran's way of dawah is not to say it's corrupted, but the Jews and the Christians. Bro, the Quran's way of dawah is not to say it's corrupted. And so he's selling it to the Jews and Christians out there and saying, oh, great, yeah, this is my Quran, which sits down and wipes out all 100% of your major theological themes in your Bible. This is what his pitch is. Hey, man, Jews and Christians, come be Muslims. Okay, come be Muslims, because my book that I wrote sits down and all the things that agrees with the Bible, that agrees with my book is good. Whatever doesn't agree, it's bad. So you must become a Muslim. Bro, where did they find these guys, dude? Where did they find these guys to come and debate us, right? All right, he slips in, editing, he is editing oral stuff. At no point I said that. You see how he said, well, I'll give it to him if he says oral. No. I'm saying diddly squat, boy. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He doesn't know it. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, okay? I'm not agreeing to any kind of edits that your author of the Quran is saying. That's what I keep on saying because he never says it. Ibn Taymiyyah. Let me see the big screen here, boys. Do you want to see Peeping Tom here? We'll get you Peeping Tom. This same guy who sits on and makes fun of me on my accent, no problem, bro. You know, a name that sounds like his name, it doesn't make a difference. Here's Ibn Taymiyyah in his book out here, okay? Here is Kitab al-Lafan, and he says, and this is also by the chief student of Ibn Taymiyyah. And from the evidence of these scholars is that the Torah has spread across east and west of the earth and spread south and north, and no one knows the number of copies except Allah, and it is impossible to conspire to substitute and change all those copies, such that not a single copy remains on earth except one that is substituted and changed according to the same methodology. And this is something the intellect finds impossible. Impossible, and testifies to falsity. Hey, look who's pitching that. You see this guy here, this Peeping Tom? That's him. He's pitching and saying he was having a discussion on Ibn Taymiyyah saying that the previous scriptures were not corrupted. And guess who he taught that same thing? I've got a reference from Muhammad Hijab, who these guys taught. Libiano and him taught Muhammad Hijab the Islamic Delimma. He just had a show about a week ago, and in there he says, yes, Ibn Taymiyyah said the previous scriptures were not corrupted. These guys had a review on his show and said, oh, he did so well. So here you go, Peeping Tom right here. Who's that fellow? That's him, sitting around talking about that. You want more? I've got you want it in Arabic? Here, I've got it in Arabic. Here it is in Arabic from the whole thing. Ibn Taymiyyah saying this. The third correct statement is that there are authentic copies on the earth remain until the time of the Prophet. Whoever says that all the copies are copies after the Prophet, may God bless him, grant him peace, were distorted, has said something that he knows is wrong. There is no information in the Quran that they changed all copies. There's no information on there. So stop telling me all this garbage out there, okay? He's been running from the conscious edits and the general confirmation. Ladies and gentlemen, the word general that he wants to make up. You know, maybe his madrasa education told him, I will use an English language word, but then suddenly I'll make general equals one specific. Okay, Well, I thought you were giving me 30 seconds from the last time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And he's going to ignore that. I just need 10, 15 seconds. He's going to ignore that. And he's going to sit down. Look how he's running from me. He ran into Q, bro. I had Q. In my opening statement, I'm saying, I know this guy's going to bring in Q. Let me ask you, did the Jews and the Christians in the 7th century have a Q manuscript that they could walk around and benchmark things? He's just making up stuff. After cribbing about modern scholars, he's going to modern scholars on the queue.
So just start now. Yeah, so you don't require the Q document, first of all, in order for you to see the fact that there's distortions within there. Thankfully, us finding out the Q document actually exists is able to make it very clear for us the fact that this is the case. But you can already notice it doesn't make any sense. Why is Mary not being punished for the same thing that Zechariah is being punished for? Why is there contradictory notions about John the Baptist and Jesus within the Gospels? Obviously, there's some distortion there. And the Quran is reviving the earliest conception, which is the fact that John the Baptist and Zechariah are not denigrated in the sense as the Gospels present them. And he mentions like all subscribers for money or whatever. Dude, like, are you ready right now to condemn inspiring philosophy, wanting 30K for ministry work? So you're talking to me about talking about dollars for subscribers or whatever. Dude, this guy was asked for 30K for 1 month. In 1 month, he wants to rack up 30K. And you want to mention this this money stuff to us. Like, dude, are you serious? Secondly, Ibn Taymiyyah, I'm surprised this guy doesn't know. Ibn Taymiyyah doesn't believe the Torah is fully preserved. In that very reference you have, Ibn al-Qayyim says that he believes the Torah is mostly preserved. Okay, so while I'm speaking right now, I'm pulling it up for you. I'm surprised you didn't know this. It's so common. Which is the fact that he doesn't believe it's fully preserved. What he's saying in the context of your passage that you brought up is that it's impossible to distort all the copies of the Torah post the time of the Prophet ﷺ when it reaches, obviously, mass transmission. And even before the time of the Prophet, it actually reached mass transmission. So there's no way someone could distort all the copies in the whole world at the point where it reaches at the level of mutawatir or mass transmission. He still does believe that the Torah is not fully preserved. Obviously, Ibn Taymiyyah makes it very clear in his works. You're just like copying and pasting. I don't know where you're copying and pasting from, to be honest, because this is all nonsense. So yeah, I will bring up, if I can't bring up the reference now, I'll bring up later. Actually, is right here, yeah, it's right there. Yeah, so this is from a good friend of mine on Twitter. A third group took the middle path. So this is from the same work that he was quoting from, Jay was quoting from. A third group took the middle path, saying, because he obviously Ibn Qayyim was listening to different views on the previous scriptures. A third group took the middle path and said, if the Torah has been added to and few wordings were changed, does that sound like it's fully preserved? No. Whose position is this? Among those who took this view is our Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. Doesn't say it. The author doesn't say that, right? The author doesn't say that he's doing conscious edits. The author doesn't say that he's doing general confirmation. I'm telling you, you believe it's not conscious? Show me it is not conscious. Show me that. Instead of just assuming your interpretation of what confirmation means, or it can be general. And the justification on why it is general is the same justification I bring. The same justification that I bring to it being general is the same justification scholars bring on how Jesus is doing the general confirmation in Matthew 23. There's no symmetry breaker. Jesus does conscious edits to what the Pharisees are teaching. Therefore, when it comes to the Quran, when it's confirming, it is doing conscious edits, and therefore it's a general confirmation. It's not that hard. Mate, you have to show me, actually, that the edits are not conscious. Show me that. You can prove it internally. Show me it doesn't make any sense. Show me there's no wisdom behind it. Show me there's no intention behind the author. Show me that he's making a mistake when he hears something and then he does it. Look, he's even scared to make an external critique. He's keeping it to an internal, and he's getting absolutely destroyed on the internal critique. You cannot work with the internal critique with Islamic Delimma. Early Muslims believed in distortion of the books. Early Muslims in the Salaf believed in distortion. Ibn Qutaybah, early Muslims that we even have documented within the writings of the Christians, using 1094, using these verses and saying, how do you believe the gospel is distorted? And they're speaking to Muslims who believe the gospel is distorted. In the early centuries of Islam, they're believing this. So doing the internal critique is just nonsense. You can't show me internally from the Quran that the conscious edits are not intentional. I showed you they're intentional. I explained it to you. You can't explain it because you lack the explanatory power, both in terms of biblical knowledge and Quranic knowledge. Let's be honest, man. I know your book better than you, and I know the Quran better than you. I know the Hadith better than you, and I know the quotes from the scholars better than you. You can't read the Arabic. You can't read the original sources. You can't understand the original sources. You literally just took your information from my video.
30 seconds, Dean.
You took your information from my video where I was quoting Ibn Qayyim, and you butchered it. You literally butchered the quote. Because before it, he says Ibn Taymiyyah believes the Torah is distorted. Then he refutes the idea that no one could have distorted it. Sorry, he actually says the point that no one could have distorted it, thus refuting those that say it was distorted at a time when it was mass transmitted. A lot of scholars say that before, when there was a message transmitted, it got corrupted, but after message transmission, it was hard. That's exactly what he was saying.
Did you just admit that Allah does not say he will consciously edit and he consciously edits without declaring it? Yes or no?
Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not say anywhere explicitly the same way that the Bible doesn't say anywhere explicitly many doctrines that you guys hold to that is complete ad hoc nonsense.
Okay, so you invented essentially a doctrine that the Quran never states. That's not interpretation, that's fabrication. Do you agree?
No, because I made an inference based on me looking at the Quran and seeing that the intention of the author is a conscious editing of the previous scriptures. I make that inference based on the text.
All right, does the Quran state that in this invented doctrine? Yes or no?
Okay, again, you're holding me to a standard that I don't believe anyone holds to, which is explicit mentioning of a standard or a doctrine, such as, oh, God has to say, I'm doing conscious edits or general confirmation. The Bible doesn't say Jesus has a human nature, does it?
I'll take that down as no, it does not. Okay, so something that's not in the Quran, he's pulling it out. Okay, now, is that internal critique? As in an internal critique, are you allowed to add unstated doctrines to rescue your position? Yes or no?
No, and that's not what I did. What I did was I applied doctrines that I inferenced from the text itself, showing the author's intentions is an intentional correction of previous texts.
Is that stated doctrine written anywhere? Stated? You know what the difference between stated and unstated is? Is it stated?
Yeah, so I don't think you understand what stated and unstated is. I do know what the difference is. It is stated in the sense that you can infer it, not stated verbatim.
So it's not written down, not in the Quran again.
No, okay. That's not what I said. You're misrepresenting what I said.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. So show me where in the Quran, show me where in the Quran, where the Quran says any of the following. Allah secretly edited the Bible. Allah revealed only the partial Injil. Allah preserved some parts and discarded some other parts. Show me where it explicitly says that.
Yeah. So again, this is the. Do you know what the verbatim word fallacy is? Because you keep falling into it.
Don't ask me questions.
So the idea, it's a rhetorical question. Yeah. Yes, I've done. I'm asking a rhetorical question. So the point is that I don't need something explicit there. I'm doing an inference, the best possible explanation. The same way you would infer many doctrines from the Bible. Where does Jesus ever say, I have a human nature and one person?
Okay, all right, thank you. 15 seconds are up. All right, so Dean, when your Allah, the author of the Quran, explicitly, statedly puts in the Quran 142 verses praising the previous scriptures, confirming the previous scriptures, you are saying right now that you don't have anywhere, if I'm correct, where it says your version of what you want to bring to the table, aka that Allah in any way, in any shape that he says, Allah secretly edited the Bible, Allah revealed only a partial Injil, Allah preserved some parts and discarded others. I'm not asking for verbatim, just in any form that he says the previous scriptures were textually corrupted. Is there anywhere in your Quran it says it?
I got you. So even if I grant you there isn't one, which I don't believe, I think 513 and 279 are good cases, I'll even grant you, there's none. But I'm still taking the best inference, the best possible explanation based on the intention of the author. You can't refute it. You still haven't refuted it.
Brilliant. Again, it's not anywhere in the Quran. Okay. Is your method this? The Quran confirms what it agrees with, corrects what it doesn't. You use the Quran to filter the Bible, then use the filtered Bible to prove Islam.
Yeah, so that's a very loaded question. I'm only more than 15 seconds. So when the Quran is confirming the Bible, me as a Muslim, yes, I do use the Quran and the Sunnah as my standard, yes. But I don't use it as my standard and then apply it to a Christian or a Jew. At that point, I use internal evidence as well as other factors in order for me to apply a prophecy to then use it against a Christian or a Jew. Otherwise, it's going to fall into circular reasoning. So yes, for me personally, I use the Quran as the standard. The same way you use the Bible as your standard for morality and other things.
Okay, all right. All right, so you just agreed whatever the Quran says is good, whatever it says is bad is corrupted. Wonderful. All right, so you say there is enough of truth in our book to lead us to Islam, but also enough, would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, is there also enough of falsehood to lead us away?
No, because the verified falsehood within the Bible, you can't find anything. You can't find anything within there that is verifiably false in the fact that it's internally contradictory or it contradicts what we know via other methods that will then contradict Islam. There's nothing we know from certainty from the Bible. There's nothing that we know with certainty from the Bible that contradicts Islam.
What about unverified falsehood? Come on, man. What about unverified?
There's nothing we know. I'm going to repeat because you cut me off from my final point.
Okay. Yeah, right. Go ahead.
So there's nothing we know within the Bible with certainty that contradicts Islam. No.
You don't know. So the Quran doesn't give you, would you say that your Allah and your author does not give you a way to know something certainty is true or false in the Bible?
It does for a Muslim. It doesn't equip it with a Christian. A Christian has other inductive methods to use.
Great. So that means what you said, as I heard you, is that Islam, whatever agrees with Islam is good, whatever doesn't agree with Islam is corrupted. Thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Where does the Quran?
Yes, I want to respond to that. I want to respond to that. 15 seconds. Yeah. So the point is that the Quran, for me, the same way for you, the Bible is a standard for morality, standard for history, the standard for all these things. Just because the Quran says they have some truth or they have truth in there, doesn't mean that I have to accept everything. The same way Jesus in Matthew 23, as I gave an example before.
That's not how our Bible works, but thank you for trying to take me into the Bible again. Where does the Quran say the Torah and Gospel were only preserved in meaning?
The Quran doesn't say it. Again, it's the inference of the best possible.
Not say it. Bro, this is looking really juicy here. Okay, if the meaning is preserved, but the text is corrupted, who decides which parts contain the meaning?
I don't know what that means.
Who decides which part contains the true meaning? If you're saying, if the
it's the same question. It's the same question as before. It's obviously my standards, the Quran and the Hadith.
So okay, all right. So it's circular again. Back to the Quran. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to respond to that. So the point is that obviously, if I ask you what's your standard on morality, what's your standard on history, what's your standard on anything, you're going to say the Bible first, and then I take secondary sources. So are you going to say you're circular now because you take the Bible as a reference point for existences of stuff in the past, and sometimes it might contradict history, but you're still going to take the Bible? That's not circular, obviously.
You can ask that question on your time, bro. You've gone over the time. I've been generous with my time with you. Where does the Quran teach preserved in meaning but no text?
You asked this question already, bro. You're wasting your time.
Okay, all right. We'll go to the next one. If Allah conscientiously edited Exodus, why do Quranic variants line up with Jewish midrash and apocrypha instead of the biblical text?
I got you. So basically, we can use actually the Hillary quote as justification to say that the oral texts will actually give us sometimes even better understandings than the text itself. So this is actually a standard the Jewish Christians would use as well in the pseudo-Clementine homilies. They would say oral traditions, logic, as well as other independent reasons could help us understand the distortion to the text of the Pentateuch. So I'm not opposed to the oral traditions contradicting the text and that being better preserved.
Okay, so that means that your conscious edit includes things that are not even included in the Bible. Very nice. All right, you say the Quran has themes like protecting prophets from embarrassment, correct?
Yes.
Okay, when the Quran speaks of the Torah, the Gospel, and the Psalms in 123 verses with laudatory language, guidance, light, reminder, Furqan, is that a theme also? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, great. And when there is zero explicit textual corruption claims in the Quran about those books, is that absence also a pattern? Yes or no?
Is that absence a pattern? What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
There's an absence, it's not a pattern. It's just an absence, there's no pattern.
Is that absence a pattern? Yes or no?
There's an absence of explicit mentioning within the Quran of the fact that these books contain these corrections. They're meant to have these corrections.
Is it a pattern?
Now I'm gonna. Yeah, no, you have to let me finish, dude. I gave you yes or no. Yeah, I gave you a couple yes or no. So let me hear. You give me at least 10 seconds. Thank you. So the point of the matter is, So the point of the matter is that the Quran does not say explicitly, but I already told you from the very beginning that there's inferences,
this is beyond
explanation. Dude, oh my God, like you keep interrupting.
Listen, I don't mind.
Jay, Darren is the one who's moderating.
Yeah, you gotta let me moderate, Jay.
Yes.
He gave you a couple direct answers.
I know. Here's my thing, okay?
Look,
Leafy won't speak up against him.
I agree.
So,
Jay.
I've been generous in my
you gotta chill, bro.
I'm just saying that just pause it. I don't mind if he wants to take 30 seconds to answer.
Okay.
I'll be generous with that too.
Right.
Then pause my time.
Jay, here's the point. He gave you a couple direct answers without even responding. So if he wants to elaborate on the third question, we're gonna let him do that. But you gotta allow me to.
It's his choice if he doesn't want to elaborate on anything.
Yeah, I agree. But I will be the judge of whether or not it's been 15 seconds or not. You can't interrupt him in the middle of his disposition. You cannot do that. So again, yeah. So let him finish your statement, and then we'll start the time. We'll just go ahead and finish that statement just to preserve.
I mean, it's already been started. My question was at the 1 minute mark.
If you want, Jay, we'll give you 30 seconds just so like you can feel that it's being reasonable. I'm sure Dean wouldn't mind that.
All right.
Yeah, I don't mind that, bro.
But you gotta let me mod though, Jay. You gotta let me mod. It's been 15
I'll
seconds.
give you a minute.
I'll make sure.
Give me a second.
Leafy, give me an extra.
Let me repeat the question again for him so that he has his 15 seconds to answer. Okay. Yeah. When there are zero explicit textual corruptions claimed in the Quran, i.e. the Quran never says the previous scriptures are corrupted about those books, the previous scriptures, Is that absence of not saying it also a pattern, yes or no, is what I asked you.
Yes. So obviously, I mentioned from the very beginning that the Quran doesn't mention explicitly, I'll grant you it, he doesn't mention explicitly anywhere. But because the author does conscious edits, which he never addressed, and the best possible explanation is that he allows for textual distortion.
Go ahead, Jay.
Okay. Why is the Quran loud in praise of prior scriptures but silent when allegedly dismantling the crucifixion, resurrection, atonement, and sonship?
The Quran does express the fact that Jesus wasn't crucified. And more than that, I already showed you that he has in-depth knowledge of the gospel. So how would he not know that the gospel says that Jesus was crucified? Obviously, he knows that and he's editing it.
Last question.
So when, sorry, is that time?
No, go ahead. No, you can go ahead and ask your last question.
Allow him to answer. Go ahead.
All right. If the prophets are protected from embarrassment, why is Muhammad rebuked publicly in 66:1 and also Noah publicly was corrected?
Yeah, I got you. So the Quran's envisionment of Isma, which the doctrine I was just saying before, that they don't do major sins, does not involve not being able to make mistakes. I made a very clear distinction at the beginning. I said at the very beginning, major sins, shirk, as well as murdering someone, as well as angering God intentionally by disobeying God's command to go to Pharaoh by Moses. All these things are major sins. Prophets can make mistakes, obviously.
All right. Now we're going to switch positions. So now, Dean, you'll be asking the questions. Jay, you will be responding. Make sure your questions are quick to the point. If it goes longer than 50 seconds, I will stop you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I'll start when you ask your question.
Okay.
Start when you ask your question, yeah.
All right. So Jay, quick question. When the Quran does these supposed conscious edits, I'm listening to you. Give me a reason why it is not conscious that Moses wasn't leprous. What was the author of the Quran doing there if he wasn't consciously editing material?
Yeah, nice try, buddy. It doesn't do any conscious edits. I've been keep on telling you that it is very vocal in expressing anything about the previous scriptures, but absolutely mute on this. There is no conscious edits. It's a made-up assertion by you, ad hoc.
Okay, so I'm gonna press on this again because everyone can see that you're getting baked right now. When the Quran says that his skin was unblemished, is the Quran responding to something that it knows is a claim about Moses? Yes or no?
Great. Maybe you can listen to my answer next time, okay? The author is not making a conscious edit. Those things that are coming in is he's just an ear. He never edits anything is my position. The author of the Quran never says the previous scriptures are corrupted. You made up this story and you want us to sit down and say it was a conscious edit. Hear me out this. You'll ask me this 15 times and I'll say the same answer. There is no conscious edits.
Yeah, okay. So just saying there's no conscious edits in the same way as showing that it isn't. So is your position is that the author here's a tradition that says that Moses' hand is not blemished? Is that your position?
The author of the Quran hears a tradition and verbatim puts it in there. He does no edits. He has no idea about the previous scriptures. He has no access to the previous scriptures. He's an illiterate person who doesn't know any of this stuff. Okay, so can you show me a tradition that says that Moses' hand was not blemished? I don't care to show it. That's not my problem. That's a you problem. What is this? Show me something to prove my thing. You're making a claim. This is what he's doing, ladies and gentlemen. He's giggling because he's losing, okay? He's made a claim and he cannot sit down and prove his claim. I have proved the claim on the other side. That when the author wanted to be vocal, he would be vocal. Exactly. Time. Okay, time. Control yourself. So the point here is you're actually pausing the John Fontaine position. Are you pausing the John Fontaine position that there's these weird oral traditions that no one's ever heard of, touched, seen, licked, ever? I have no answer on whose other position. My position is this, okay? Here's my position. You can giggle away, boy. You can giggle away, but you're getting baked out here, okay? This is your claim. Understand that to your thick head. It's your claim, not mine. I'm not saying the Quran admits to editing. I'm saying the Quran contradicts the previous scriptures while claiming to confirm them. The contradiction is the problem. It is the Islamic dilemma checkmate. But you're desperate to try to get me to say there was an edit consciously made. So you can repeat this till Sunday, dude. It's not going to happen. Okay. You're getting okay, I have another question. So can you find me any tradition? Yo, get your dog to settle down, man.
He knows
He's got you on, dude.
your dog knows you're getting baked. That's why he thinks you're in trouble. He thinks you're in trouble.
Just get the
He thinks you're in trouble.
Your time is running, bro. Your time is running, guys. Settle down.
I'm asking my question. I'm asking my question.
All right, so hey, we're gonna reset the time. I muted both of you guys up. This is not time to get personal. We need to keep it academic. Let's not address things that are outside of this debate, please. We're gonna respect each other for the rest of the debate. Let's not get personal here. You guys can take shots here and there. You know, this is a boxing match. I agree. If you guys want to take shots here and there, but we're not gonna get personal. We're gonna continue the debate. Dean, your job only right now is to ask questions. Jay, you have 15 minutes to respond. That is it.
15 seconds, Darren.
Or
15 seconds.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, 15 seconds to respond.
Yeah, good.
We're gonna get back to the debate. Dean, ask a question.
Ask your question.
Don't make a statement that's not relevant to the conversation. You can make a statement if it leads to a question, but that's about it. You as well, Jay.
Okay. All right. So, is there any tradition that you know of that says Sammy made the golden calf and not Aaron? Just yes or no.
We're not discussing traditions. If you want to have a conversation with me about traditions, that's a secondary debate.
Just say yes or no.
Come back to the conscious edits. Why are you taking me to the Bible constantly? Why aren't you answering a simple question I've posed to you over and over again?
Yeah, okay. So he didn't answer the question, Darren. Darren, he's not answering the question.
That was his response. But
okay, I'm going to ask you another one. I'm going to ask you another one. Do you have a tradition that says that Moses didn't intentionally unalive the man within Exodus? Do you have a tradition that says that?
Bro, the debate is Islamic dilemma.
It's just yes or no. He's not answering.
And general confirmation. Why are you asking me things that have nothing to do with the debate? It is not for me to come here and tell you about traditions or not. I am telling you very clearly.
Yeah. Okay, pause time.
I've answered you. Okay, I've answered you.
Here's the deal.
You cannot accept it. That's not my
You have to ask questions related to the topic. If he
he's not.
He's not related to the topic.
No, it's not related to the topic.
Okay, I don't need help, Jay. I got it. Go ahead. Say what you want to say, Dean, and then I'll respond.
Yeah. So Darren, it is very. How am I supposed to? I can't explain on my time in the questions why I believe it's relevant. I can't do that. And but obviously it is relevant because my point is he's positing conspiracy oral traditions and texts rather than taking the more simpler explanation, which is the author is bringing innovative new traditions from his own mind. That is, obviously we believe it's God, to edit the text. That's a much more simple explanation. I'm trying to get him to concede.
I mean, I can't lie. I'm not trying to be like biased or anything, but Dean has a right to ask about the traditions that are in question.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
Well, I agree. If it's leading to a particular purpose, I would agree with that, Jay.
So Jay, try and give a yes or no. Try and give a yes or no and then expand. Especially if he's asking for a yes or no.
I agree, but we do have to make sure that it actually leads to the actual answer to the questions that are being posed as far as...
Yeah, so Dean, try and re-ask your question. Jay, try and answer with a yes or no, and then expand.
Hey, I already answered it. I don't need to re-ask.
Yeah, he can...
I'll give another one.
I answered it 3 times. What my traditions are is not a conversation for right now. We're talking about the Islamic dilemma, and we're talking about proving his conscious edits. Nowhere, as I repeatedly says, that when a guy is so vocal, which he's agreed to, and he said it was a pattern of...
Okay. That's my time. It's my time to question.
Let's get back to the debate.
I'll get him asked the question.
However Jay answers the question, guys, it's going to be how he answers. But Jay, please, try to be at least, close to the answers. Go ahead. We'll give it back to you.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, you can start the time. So I'm going to ask very simply because he seems like he's slow. So the point, what is more simple for you? The fact that you don't have these traditions, we don't have any evidence for these traditions. Therefore, the author of the Quran is giving innovative views and is contradicting the Bible? Or is it the case that there is these traditions, but we just don't have them? Which is more simple?
The madrasa education strikes back again. 100 times you'll ask me this question. The tradition is not important. I told you that there is evidence of the same author being very vocal when he has to say something against or for anything to have to do with the previous scriptures. 142 verses, man.
That's fine.
But he didn't say one word about
I appreciate it.
intentional conscious edit on your side.
I got you. So, he's not answering. So, anyway, we'll continue on. So, the point is, Matthew 23, I gave you, should you disagree with Hilary Poitras on his interpretation of Matthew 23?
Great. I don't care about one scholar versus another scholar.
It's a yes or no, dude. Answer the question.
You gotta let him respond.
No, I responded the way I want to.
Yeah, you guys can respond.
You're not going to put me into false dichotomy.
Okay, go ahead. You're wasting time, Jay.
And I've talked about right. I've told you there are several scholars on the other side of the line, so as to speak, who sit down and go with my version of it. So I don't care about the Bible. Look, He's already breaking the internal critique laws.
Okay, done. All right, time. All right. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you not directly answering anything. So the point is, I will continue on from here. When Jesus says, do everything they teach, within the interpretation of Hilary of Poitiers, as well as John Chrysostom, the early church fathers, if someone holds to the interpretations, is Jesus doing a general confirmation of the Pharisees' teachings? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, so you clearly don't understand Hilary of Poitiers. So I'm going to pull up the quote right now for you. And in the meantime, I'll ask you some more questions.
This is a question.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up and ask a question. Relax.
Yeah, so I'll pause it while he pulls up the quote.
No, that's his time.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Just continue it. Just continue it. Just continue it. Okay.
Okay.
Bro, it's all good. Just keep the time going. Yeah. The question is this. The question is this. Do you think that the Quran needs to explicitly state every single doctrine in order for that doctrine to be valid?
Right. When the Quran makes it very, very obvious that in 142 verses, which you have agreed is a pattern over and over again, expressing on the very subject matter that we are discussing, then I expect that the same author doesn't become into a mute guy and suddenly doesn't want to say anything. How can he on one side, again, 142 verses, man, say this over and over again, talk about the previous scriptures in and around the realm of our conversation, but he's mute on your claim. You made an ad hoc claim.
Okay, so here's the quote from Hilary. Let's pull it up. So my question is, when he says, therefore, this proves their teachings have remained in later generations, namely the teachings received from the writer of the law himself and preserved in his office, is he talking about the oral traditions passed down from the time of the Septuagint?
Again, in that verse, there is no general confirmation. The word in Greek is to recite. It's not getting to your head. This has been done to you on several panels, and you're just trying to play these games with me again. I will show people videos of this man doing this over and over again, and people walking him through Greek. He even spoke to a Greek scholar or someone who knows Greek extremely well, got baked on this verse on it, but he keeps on doing this stuff. Again, there is no general confirmation. He's sitting down and saying he's recite. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. That's not the question. The question is, because you said before, Hilary of Poitiers taking his interpretation doesn't mean there's a general confirmation of the oral traditions. Now, I'm asking you to answer directly, the same way I answered you directly, on the point about traditions being preserved. Is he talking about the oral traditions? Yes or no? Answer directly.
Okay. Again, you did pay attention to my answer. I told you I do not agree with him. I've got scholars who say otherwise. I've told you the Greek word is to recite, but you keep going down to that one document. And you do this in every other live I've seen you doing it, and they laugh your ass at yourself, dude. Okay? So listen to me again. I don't care about your scholar. I have scholars who sit down and...
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yes, okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I appreciate it. So the question is, the question is, you actually contradicted yourself at this point. You said you disagree because you know what's going to entail from Hilary. So anyways, we'll take it back. No problem. We'll take it back to another point. Does the author of the Quran know the gospel well based on what I showed you before? Based on what I showed you before with Surah Al-Hadid. I don't know why you're interrupting me. You should stop talking.
Sorry, go ahead.
Surah Al-Hadid, as well as 48:29, when it mentions the contents of the Injil, as well as many other instances. Do you believe the author of the Quran knows what's in the Gospels?
What are you talking about, 48:29?
Oh my God! You don't even know the references. When he mentions the seed parable, I'm answering your question. I'll help you. There's only so many times the Quran talks about the concept of the Injil. You don't even know. 48:29 talks about the seed parable. I mentioned it in my introductory statement. I showed you it. So when it mentions that, as well as it mentions Surah Al-Hadid, the parables of Matthew 25, as well as when it mentions other stuff found in the Injil and the Quran, does that show you that the author knows the contents of the Injil?
Absolutely not. And I'm telling you, he has no access to the previous scriptures. Hear me loud and clear. Okay, he's an illiterate. If you want me to get deeper into saying how much he has no knowledge, I'll go deeper into using other choice words. But he's an illiterate person who's never had access to the scriptures, doesn't know anything at all.
Okay, so last question, yeah. So how does he know that the seed parable is in the Injil when he says it's in the Injil in 48:29? Answer that question directly.
Great. As I said, it could be things that somebody else is just sitting down and talking all over the place out there. Heard it from somebody else, put it in there. Again, why are you so slow, dudes? Don't you understand? He doesn't know. You think he's not getting it from somebody else? All right? That's what he is. It's a generic agricultural image. Okay? That's what it is. So please, stop, begging me to sit down and say that he knows the scriptures.
That's time, Jay. All right, so now we're going to move into 7-minute closing. Jay, you're gonna go.
Just get it up.
I believe you were first. So let me shrink Dean's.
Wait, do I not close last because I went first on the opening?
Is that how you
I
guys?
mean, that's how it's
Yeah, I'm
usually.
fine with that,
That's
yeah.
how it's usually.
Whatever you want, yeah.
All right,
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's
Okay,
fine.
go ahead.
sounds
All
good.
right, go ahead.
All right. 7 minutes.
So how long is this, Leafy?
Yeah, Dean, wait for Leafy to put the time on the clock, and then we'll get you guys going. Last thing I want to say, Chad,
7 minutes.
yeah, for some reason, I don't know why my I can't type anything in the comments. I've been trying for like the last 15 minutes. But make sure you guys are being respectful in the chat. Moderators, you're going to have to take over from here. I've muted several people so far, Christians and Muslims. Just make sure you guys keep doing so as we finish out this debate. So go ahead, Dean, you're up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, I mean, yeah, he just conceded that the author knows traditions that are in the gospel based on learning it orally, right? I mean, that's pretty sophisticated knowledge, even if it's just orally. That means he does know the contents of the Injil. That means he does. But I mean, I would posit that him knowing the contents of the Injil is more than just oral, based on the fact that there's so much, as well as the understanding of it is so sophisticated to the point where he can intertwine it within the Arabic language in a very eloquent manner. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is with Matthew 23, with Hilary of Poitiers, I asked him, if you take Hilary's interpretation, does that mean Jesus is doing a general confirmation on the oral laws? He said, no, that's not the case. As soon as I pull up the quote, he ran away. He ran away from standing on business and saying that, yeah, Hilary is saying that, he isn't saying, sorry, that the oral traditions are being generally confirmed. Okay. So he actually ran away on that point, and everyone saw that. So the last point is just very clear. He would not answer on the conscious edits point. There's two explanations at this point. You can say the author of the Quran's hearing the traditions orally, and that these traditions just so happen to contradict with the Bible or whatever it might be. Okay, that's one possibility. Or it is that the author is bringing innovative ideas and is editing it. Now, if you believe it's Allah or we're not, that's independent of what we're talking about here. We're just talking about, is it intentional? Is he bringing innovative ideas, new ideas to the table? He's not just taking from old traditions. That is more likely, that is more simple, if you're using Occam's razor here. It is more simple, more parsimonious with the data that he is actually just giving us new information, not just taking from old traditions. You're pausing the John Fontaine position. You guys would want to laugh at John Fontaine's position. The conscious edits position puts you into a corner where you have to posit the John Fontaine position. There is conspiracy oral traditions that the Prophet ﷺ is hearing in order for him to have these differences with the Bible. Can you show me those traditions? Can you show me anyone talking about those traditions? Any manuscripts? Anyone talking about it? Any precedents that somebody made the golden calf? Any precedents that Moses didn't intentionally murder the man? Any precedents that God wasn't angry at Moses? Any precedents that Moses did the miracles and not Aaron? Any precedents for any of these things you cannot show. This is something you must look into when you're looking to rebut the conscious edits point. And there's only so many of the conscious edits that you can say aligns with the Midrash or whatever, right? There's only so many that you can bring up that you could say, oh, it aligns with the Midrash. And even those that you think align with the Midrash, there is still differences between them. You gotta find me a Midrash that says Moses' hand was not leprous, right? That is a clear polemic. That's a clear polemic, clear response. The author knows a tradition is saying that Moses' hand is leprous, and he knows that he disagrees with that tradition and is opposing it. That's clearly conscious, right? The fact that you just keep saying, I don't believe it's conscious, I don't believe it's conscious, I don't believe it's conscious, doesn't give you justification to not believe it's not conscious. I give you justification it's conscious based upon the thematic precedents in the Quran. Prophets are noble. Prophets don't commit major sins. Prophets are dignified. Therefore, these edits they have precedence for it. Even other ones I didn't list. Anthropomorphic language within the Old Testament. And the idea that God was refreshed, right? In Exodus, nafash in the Hebrew. That term is always used to mean something along the lines of actually rejuvenating. You have it in the Hebrew Bible. It's never meant to mean in some metaphoric way. So the author understands the text, is editing it, is changing it, and at that point, he didn't give any justification why it is otherwise. He didn't give anything. Really, he didn't give anything to the table. You just said, I don't believe it's conscious, with no reason. You just assumed some conspiracy oral traditions or conspiracy written traditions that no one's heard, seen, touched, licked, anything. No one's ever seen or heard any of these traditions, and yet you're positing them. Because actually you're the one that's positing something ad hoc. It is more parsimonious to the data that the author of the Quran just chooses to oppose traditions that he knows could possibly be found in the Bible. Okay, so the point of the matter is the Islamic dilemma is nothing more than a Christian's dream. This is, we need something like, there's no Trinity in the Bible. That's a dilemma. There's no human nature point in the Bible. That's a dilemma. No one believed the Trinity for the early generations. That's a dilemma. And yet, what we have is no dilemma in the Quran. The Quran's doctrines are so clearly expressed. The author of the Quran shows us that not everything within the previous scriptures is preserved by his intentions. You cannot show the intentions of the authors of the Gospels intend the Trinity. You cannot show that. So don't have some double standards now when I'm not even holding to that lowly standard. I believe you can show from the author's intentions that the previous scriptures is not fully preserved by the fact that he's comfortable with the possibility to alter what could be in the texts. You didn't give any rebuttal to that. Nothing, zilch, nothing at all. So I guess I'll just stop it here, I guess. There is verses in the Quran that you can use to prove textual distortion, but there's a reason why I didn't mention this during the debate. I want everyone to take note of this. I did not mention 279 or يحرفون الكلمة عن مواضعه. I didn't mention these verses, 513 and 279. I didn't mention these two verses due to the fact that I know he's going to run away from the conscious edits point and try to say, no, it's ambiguous, it's ambiguous, it's ambiguous. Of course you're going to think it's ambiguous, 279 and 513, as well as other possible verses. Because of the fact that you can ambiguate any verse if you're a Christian. You can ambiguate Jesus saying he doesn't know the hour, therefore he's talking about declaring and you jump through hoops. If you can do that with the text of the Gospels, then of course you can do that with the Quran. That's why I'm not holding it to any exegesis like that. I'm making this conceptual. I'm taking it from the roots. And you failed miserably and showed us exactly why no one is choosing to take this debate with me, because they saw Chris get absolutely baked on the debate. And people are ghosting me, telling me I don't want to do it on this platform and blah, 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 blah. And lo and behold, Mr. J here chooses to take the Islamic dilemma and actually shows everyone why it is such a terrible argument. So thank you for that, Mr. J.
Beautiful. Time. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate you, my brother. We're going to go ahead and get Jay in the box. We're going to put 7 minutes on the clock. Thank you for keeping a respectful chat. And Jay, when you're ready, time is on you, my brother.
Yeah. So guys, this is why he got absolutely trashed. He came in with a one-trick pony. Conscious edits, conscious edits, conscious edits. And he agreed to this. It's all taped. He agreed that the pattern, the same author that I say it cannot be a conscious edit because the author doesn't say it. If he intends to do a conscious edit, he would say, hey, I'm changing this because of this and this. It's just done, according to him. He says it's just done. He's just going to be quiet. And I said, no, the author does not know any of the previous scriptures. He lied and he said that I said the author knew the previous scriptures. How many times on Sunday did I keep on saying that he didn't know diddly squat? He didn't know diddly squat of the previous scriptures. And he had to force that in here. This is why the others don't want to come and debate, because you got such slow tier arguments. He says he ran away from 279 and 513 because he knows I will bake him on that, including in his Arabic. Okay? On 279. All right? He starts crying about Hillary and Dean sitting under a tree, KIS and ING, whatever the hell. I told him that scholar. I've got other scholars who refute his scholars. Why is his scholar better than my scholar? Okay? Then he gives me, oh, he's so generous. He gives me 2 options. He says, you could have agreed, everybody take notes, the Dean way, the ad hoc way, that you could have said he just orally edited or he was innovatingly editing things. Then he says, I went with John Fontaine's position, not even close to it. That doofus talks about a magically appearing Torah in and out and all that other stuff. Okay? And I gave you my position was clear. Guys, why can it not be a conscious edit? For it to be conscious, the author should be telling us, hey, I'm coming in and changing these things. This is like a guy who you've taken your car to fix a light inside your car, and the mechanic returns your car with just 4 wheels and gives you a big bill and doesn't say anything why you did that. This is literally what he wants us to believe. The guy wiped out our traditions, wiped out major theological traditions, and didn't say a word. Why? Because Dean figures that that's good enough. I challenged him, and he agreed to. Remember what he said? I said, is that a pattern? So it's a pattern on the other side. He's used to talking about these things. He's openly talking about it, but he's mute on here. Get out of here, man. What the hell are you talking about? Now, let's do this. My opponent built his case on a loop. He even agreed the Quran confirms the Bible. How many days till Sunday he kept on saying, whatever Islam says is true, whatever disagrees with Islam is corrupt. How many times did he say that? 8 times on my question and answers. This is supposed to be their best guy? This is the dude who came up with this 2025 conscious ed is garbage? The Bible, his case is this. The Quran confirms the Bible. The Bible parts that agree with the Quran prove the Quran. The parts that disagree are corrupted. That's not revelation, that's tautology. The Quran is true because the Quran says it's true. His system destroys the Quran's credibility. If confirm means agree with me, Dean, then Quran reveals nothing new and corrects nothing real. It becomes a self-attesting echo chamber. He invoked modern scholarship until I contradicted him. He appealed to historical probability till it disfavored him. He didn't bring up nickel silide, but he ignored that. He brought in Q and all that other stuff till I told him, hey, did they have a Q manuscript for the Jews and Christians during the 7th century to see what the hell was going on? This is not. He appealed to Jesus. Come, Jesus, please help me. Please help me. Daddy Bible, let me go there. But dismissed every historically verified saying thing that disapproves Islam. This is not consistency. It's ad hoc theology. Bring back the historical Jesus. Every strand of serious scholarship, critical, skeptical, conservative, agrees on one immovable fact. And this is just, I'm having a conversation with you, Chad. It's not to him. He's already lost. He already agreed that I had a pattern on my side. He has diddly squat. Jesus was crucified. That fact, everybody understands that. Let's have some fun with it, guys. The Quran alone denies the crucifixion and then claims God deceived the world and then produced what? The most successful religion in the history, i.e. Christianity, creating a Christian majority countries that lead in IQ. Andrew Wilson, you're spot on, baby. GDP, military strength over the Muslims, and are the ones protecting Islam's own holy lands with their bases from other Muslims. Hurrah, United States military base in your holy land. In that narrative, God effectively made Muslims dhimmis under the Christians, dependent on the mercy of the very Christian civilization Islam calls misguided with corrupted books. If your confirmation model forces you to reject the best tested event in the first century, the problem isn't the evidence, it's your premise. And now I'm going to show you some things out here. I'm going to sit down and show you real quick these videos here. Here is Mr. Dean agreeing to that he's doing all circular stuff. Should have prepared for this. Let me see this. Hold on.
Quran. Your theory does not allow that, because by definition, anything that disagrees with the Quran is being corrected by the Quran.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but the point.
Yes, exactly. Okay, this is when their top Dawa guys are all around at a table and they get busted saying what? Guess what? They said 70% of their scholars agree with us that it's not corrupted. Listen to this.
Percent of
it's a Dawa clinic.
It's not corrupted.
So notice what the scholars are not saying though.
Of the book? What book? What book are we the people of?
Hold on. And watch his reasoning for if the canvas.
I have a comment too.
And we have substantial evidence for that, from our literature.
From
the
our
whole
literature.
dilemma goes out the window. Halas. That's it. We stop right there, right? Now, whether or not it was corrupted or it was intact or partially intact, that's a nuanced topic with opinions varying among scholars, From the research that I have done over the past, year or so with different brothers, I'm leaning more towards, I would say 70% of the scholars leaning more towards it not being corrupted. Right?
What? 70% of the scholars leading not to be corrupted. Farid responds, John Fontaine, all the big Dawa guys, look what they're calling it, a Dawa clinic of Islamic dilemma. They are telling us that 70% of their own scholars, he spent a year and a half researching it, all the big boys, and they said it's not corrupted, but these guys want to do it with 30%. So ladies and gentlemen, woe to Dean for sitting down and corrupting his words and Allah's words with his own hands.
That's fine.
In the case.
All right.
Otherwise, Daiwal could be the third one.
I got you.
God bless. God bless. Great job, Jay. Amazing job, brother. I have a clarifying question, then I'll ask my question. Dear response, clarifying question real quick. Would you consider the first best 3 generations would be Ahlul Salaf?
Yes, would you consider Ankabut about?
All right, beautiful. Awesome. Thank you for answering that question. Now, here's my question. And just so I could add at the top of my question, if you're going to bring the hadith of Ibn Abbas, right, then you're being dishonest because Al-Bukhari tells us what Ibn Abbas meant. But here's my question. Do you have any of the 3 best first 3 generations of Ahlul Salaf that says that the Injil and the Torah has been corrupted? Or, that you have to do conscious edits or general confirmation?
Yeah, I got you. Give me a sec, so I'll pull up the reference for you just so everyone can have it. 1 second. So you guys can actually check this Christian, here we go. So this Christian YouTuber, so just to make the big screen if you don't mind. So he actually puts the source for us. This is Captain Christianity. So this is Cameron Betiza. So he says in this reference, in the 700s he says this is. So this is within the Salaf. So this Christian, early on, I'm not even just giving you from our Islamic sources. I'm showing you a Christian speaking to a Muslim who believes in Tahrif al-Lafz. He believes in textual distortion of the gospel. Okay? So look what he says. This Christian says, in response to the Muslims claiming distortion of the gospel, but at which time, I ask again, who, why, and which words? If they should say that it happened before the coming of the Prophet, see, he said that it was spoken to him that he should come to those who hold the scripture. And then he quotes 1094. So I'm not going to take too much time. The point is that this Christian Cameron, actually proved for us that early Muslims believed in tahrif. They believed in textual distortion of the gospel. So you can check out his video for the source for that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Does it in the Quran say that the author intends to correct the Jews and the Christians? Yes or no? Or intends to correct traditions?
The revelation that the author intends to correct them?
Yeah. Does the author say that he intends to correct?
If they don't follow the scripture, but he doesn't intend to actually correct the revelation itself, the scripture.
Okay, can I get a big screen, please? It says, it says, indeed, this Quran clarifies for the children of Israel most of what they differ over. So my question is, if the children of Israel disagree over something like Aaron building the golden calf, let's say one sect says that he didn't and the other sect says that he did, where are they supposed to go to clarify their doubt? That's my question.
Okay.
Beautiful.
You should thank yourself why you ran for me on the debate and you never showed up. This is what you're asking me? You brought me that verse? That verse says that the previous scriptures are corrupted? You were telling me you're going to bring me a verse that is going to show that the author of the Quran is telling people that I intend to sit down and show corruption in the previous scriptures. Get out of here. That's not even the verse. Get out of here.
God bless you guys.
Blessings.
All right, so this is my question for Dean. This time I wrote it down, right? I took advice. All right, so with 0 surahs stating that the Torah and Injil was textually corrupted, how can you objectively prove conscious correction or edits rather than borrowing or misunderstanding when the Quran takes from Talmud, Midrash, Apocrypha, and late rabbinic folklore, such as the story of Solomon, which is the commandment of demons for the Talmudic legends, or Cain, which learned the burial from birds, which is a Jewish folklore, not Torah, in Surah 531, and without any earlier written revelations or older, more authentic traditions to prove this case. And if you need me to restate it, let me know before I drop.
No, I got you. I understood your question. Appreciate it. So the point is that there's an assumption here that these oral traditions or these apocryphal texts inherently they're going to have less accurate information, which is just wrong. We have Jude quoting First Enoch. We have Jude, not just Jude, sorry, even I think Second or First Timothy also there's a case to be made quoting First Enoch. I had a recent video showing there's a case to be made that Paul is quoting from an apocryphal text where he says, no eyes have ever seen, no ears have ever heard, what God has prepared for those who love him. So you have all this precedence within the New Testament itself that it is taking from these traditions. Even early church fathers, you can check out the video on live on the Beyond This channel showing almost all the early church fathers didn't believe all of the oral traditions are rubbish. There's precedence in there for it being true. A lot of the early church accepted sort of the apocryphal texts as being true, such as First Enoch. And the final justification would just be that we have Hilary, like I showed before, where he says that these oral traditions from the Jews were generally confirmed by Jesus, okay, and that these oral traditions aided in the translation of the Septuagint. So that's a reason Hillary's giving as to why the Septuagint is to be taken rather than other recensions. The Septuagint, the Jews who translated it, had oral traditions passed down that would aid them in translating the Hebrew to the Greek. Ambiguous words, unclear words. How do we know the Septuagint has it better? It's because they had these oral traditions that were passed down from Moses. And finally, you don't need an explicit verse to tell you from the Quran that there's contraceptives being made or a general confirmation. Heck, we even have Jewish Christians doing a private general confirmation. I can give you that reference from the Pseudo-Clementine homilies as well, where it says that don't tell the people that the Torah is corrupted, even though we believe there's corruptions, because it may confuse the masses. So if they have a wisdom, right, such as that, I'm not saying that's necessarily the wisdom in the Quran, but I'm just telling you that people believe in the distortion of the Torah without having anything explicit saying that, due to independent reasons they can establish, yeah, 5 seconds, as well as certain quotes they would interpret as so. They have quotes from the Gospels of Jesus where they interpret that as obviously distortion of the Torah.
Awesome.
Well, my question to you, JAY49ER, that according to the Christian reading of the Quran confirms the Bible. You agree?
Yep.
Okay. Premise 2, according to the Christian worldview, the Quran is from Satan. Do you agree?
I'm doing an internal critique.
Yeah, but do you agree on this premise?
I'm doing an internal critique. I have no comment about your silly questions about Satan and if Satan did it and all that. I've heard you come up with that stupid question somewhere else. I'm doing an internal critique on Islamic dilemma. If you got some problems with Satan, bro, I suggest you come to Christianity. It'll all be taken care of.
Okay, no
Leave
problem.
Islam.
You didn't want to answer the question, so we're going to leave it alone. All right. Chris Claus, welcome to the building, my friend.
God bless everyone. I think it's a very well debated. I want to thank JAY49ER and Dean Respond for doing the debate. Also Leafy for moderating, and Darren, you as well for moderating. I think it's been a wonderful debate this afternoon. My question goes to Dean. You used the general confirmation. Instead of giving us an example of general confirmation, I would love a definition of general confirmation that does not mean confirmation bias.
Yeah, so obviously for a Muslim's epistemology, how someone determines what is true and what is false, obviously the highest epistemic source is going to be the Quran and the Sunnah, right? But that is not inherently circular or having confirmation bias or whatever. If you have independent reasons to believe Islam is true. So I'll give you an example. We have within the Bible, it could confirm certain historical events, even though it might have some issues with it, such as 600,000 at the time of the Exodus, 600,000 men, excluding women and children. Zero evidence of that at all. But you're still going to believe it as a believing Christian or a Jew or whatever, because of the fact that you believe you have independent reasons to believe the Bible is true. That doesn't mean you have confirmation bias. It just means that you're consistent within your epistemic framework. You have to assess the evidences at your disposal. Now, the general confirmation I defined it in the introductory statement already. It's going to be the majority of the major themes within the previous scriptures, common between the Torah and the Gospel. Most of them are going to be affirmed by the Quran. One qualifier, one question, brother.
So I have a clarifier. If the companions of the Prophet, if the Prophet taught that the previous scriptures have been corrupted, even though it's not written explicitly in the Quran, does that hold any value against your argument?
If the Prophet said it?
If we know that the Prophet taught the previous scriptures to be corrupted, does that hold any value? Let's me clarify.
So, okay, it depends if I can verify it, but I take Allah first.
Oh,
if he goes against Allah, then it doesn't. Then this value is nothing.
Okay.
He'll inherently go against Allah.
So according to the hadith of Uthman burning the Quran, we find clearly that the companions of the Prophet, they say that the Christians and the Jews have differed upon their scripture. From this, we can infer that the Prophet Muhammad told this because his own companions made this statement. So what's your response to that?
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, he went and bought an hadith, which is talking about how Uthman came about and compiled it, a hadith which actually proves that all their Quran is corrupted, because there were so many Qurans running around at that point. When that comment comes in, it only says they differ just like the Jews and the Christians did. That means he's already agreeing according to his paradigm. He's saying that his books were corrupted. There were too many books out there. But what the Jews and Christians were doing, it doesn't really tell you specifically. What I would infer from it, again, that's just my personal opinion, is that they were discussing which books need to be in there. Maybe the Jews wanted to add the Talmud. Maybe they wanted to add all that. That's just speculation on my behalf. But the hadith doesn't say that. But I'm thanking you for bringing up a hadith that shows that the Quran is corrupted, including that you guys, Uthman burned the original Quran. You don't even have the original Quran. You don't even have Uthman's Quran. So thank you for bringing up that and ending this debate by proving Quran is corrupted. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys, man. Hey, that concludes our debate, you guys. Let me just say thank you, Leafy, for helping me moderate this and helping to keep time. Jay, appreciate you for coming. Dean, definitely thank you for coming, my brother. And I appreciate you guys for getting in the box and doing this on a professional level. And it's just, dude, I'm excited. But much respect to both of you guys. And yeah, much love. Hopefully we can all continue to keep the spirit of the debate and, you know, let us argue the doctrine, but let's not be personal with it. So I appreciate you guys.